To begin, welcome to this deep dive on the L1B intracompany transferee visa. Specifically, how to avoid the common pitfalls around proving specialized knowledge. Today we'll unpack why many strong candidates get denied, how blanket petitions change the risk profile, and what it really takes to overturn a previous denial. Let's get started. Next, here is our roadmap. We will clarify specialized knowledge under L1B, discuss why blanket petitions often feel tougher, outline a concrete plan if you're reapplying after a denial, give a data analyst's uniqueness playbook, list must-have evidence, and then test your understanding with quick quizzes before wrapping up with key takeaways. Before we proceed, a quick but essential disclaimer. This video is educational and not legal advice. Immigration cases are highly fact-specific. Please consult a qualified immigration attorney for guidance tailored to your unique situation. With that established, let's move forward. Now, at a high level, the L1B category is meant for employees who possess specialized knowledge about a company's products, processes, or procedures. The distinction is critical. It is not enough to be advanced in general tools or methodologies. You must show that your knowledge is company-specific, proprietary, and not easily transferred to another employee. With that foundation, let's visualize how to frame specialization. Continuing. This map breaks specialized knowledge into three pillars. First, company-specific elements, such as proprietary algorithms, internal data architecture, and non-public frameworks. Second, hard-to-transfer attributes like intensive proprietary training, tribal process knowledge, and access-controlled systems. Third, value and impact, including revenue uplift, cost savings, and risk reduction. Your narrative should connect all three: what unique internal knowledge you have, why it can't be easily transferred, and how it materially impacts the business. Next, let's look at how wording can make or break your case. Moving on. This table contrasts weak and strong phrasing. The wrong approach references generic tools and tasks, things that any skilled professional could do. The necessary approach names proprietary assets, non-public data, and undocumented internal knowledge. The strongest version adds quantifiable business outcomes, specific performance metrics, or risk prevention aligned to company impact. Furthermore, with blanket petitions, the company has pre-qualified its ability to transfer employees, but the individual still must convince the consular officer. That officer effectively becomes the primary gatekeeper, often without the deep, prior USCIS scrutiny that occurs in an individual petition. Conversely, an individual L1B typically undergoes a more thorough USCIS review before any consular interview, which can shift the dynamic and reduce interview pressure if the record is strong. Next, visualize the decision flow. Start by identifying proprietary systems and processes tied to your role. Then map your undocumented internal knowledge, what you know that is not public or easily taught. Gather evidence of non-transferability, such as proprietary training hours, unique access privileges, and substantial tenure with those systems. Quantify business impact through revenue, cost savings, or risk avoidance. Translate this into a precise interview narrative using company-specific terminology, and stress test it in mock interviews. This flow leads to the consular interview decision, where weak proprietary linkage increases denial risk. Meanwhile, data analysts should frame uniqueness around proprietary assets like named internal models, feature stores, and closed-source frameworks. Connect your work to non-public data and undocumented data lineage. Quantify improvements, such as latency reductions, risk prevention, or forecast error reductions. Highlight governance aspects, privileged access, audited changes, and special protocols. If previously denied, clearly show the pivot, what you now own or improved, with concrete technical details and measurable outcomes. Building on that, if you are reapplying after a denial, acknowledge it briefly and pivot to demonstrable specialization acquired since then. Quantify your impact in business terms. Name proprietary components explicitly. Emphasize non-transferability, like extensive proprietary training and lack of external documentation. Rehearse with internal jargon and evidence. Conclude by explaining why your on-site presence in the United States is necessary to deliver this value. Additionally, assemble evidence that proves your knowledge is proprietary and valuable. Include proprietary training records, access control evidence, sanitized internal architecture diagrams, and rigorous performance metrics. Obtain letters from leadership that attest to your institutional knowledge and non-transferability. Provide change logs for proprietary systems and incident post-mortems that demonstrate how your intervention prevented failures. Now, in the interview sequence, the applicant greets the consular officer, who requests an explanation of the role. The applicant delivers a narrative centered on proprietary systems. The officer cross-checks the prior denial. The applicant acknowledges it and pivots to new specialization. Company documentation is referenced. The officer then probes non-transferability and business impact. The applicant quantifies outcomes. This sequence ultimately leads to further questions, approval, or denial, depending on the strength and specificity of the evidence and narrative. Let's quickly test your understanding. Question: which statement best demonstrates L1B appropriate specialized knowledge? Option A: I create dashboards with Tableau and Python for sales leadership. Option B: I manage a proprietary forecasting engine trained on non-public data, requiring undocumented internal data lineage knowledge and restricted access. Option C: I analyze customer churn using standard SQL queries and industry benchmarks. Option D: I build machine learning models with scikit-learn for general reporting. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. It references a proprietary system, non-public data, undocumented internal knowledge, and restricted access, key elements that align with L1B specialized knowledge requirements. The other options describe generic, market-available skills and tools that do not meet the threshold. Here's another quick check. Why can L1B blanket petitions feel riskier than individual L1B petitions? A. Blanket petitions are always easier because the company is pre-approved. B. Because the consular officer becomes the critical gatekeeper, and your specific role may not have undergone deep USCIS review beforehand. C. Individual L1B interviews always skip the consulate entirely. D. Blanket petitions allow any employee to qualify without proof of specialization. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. In blanket petitions, the consular officer often carries the primary burden of assessing your specialization at the interview window, without the level of prior individualized scrutiny that USCIS may conduct in an individual L1B case. This dynamic can increase the risk at the consular stage. To synthesize, specialized knowledge is not merely advanced skill. It is proprietary, internal, and difficult to transfer. Specificity wins interviews. Name internal systems and data lineage. Always quantify impact. If reapplying after denial, acknowledge and pivot to new specialization. And remember that blanket petitions are not automatically easier. The consular window is decisive. In conclusion, define your uniqueness with reference to proprietary systems and non-public institutional knowledge. Prove non-transferability using evidence of training, access privileges, and tenure with internal systems. Demonstrate business impact through concrete metrics. Rehearse a focused narrative tailored to the consular officer's scrutiny. Finally, thank you for watching. If this video helped clarify your L1B strategy, please like, share, and subscribe. I would love to hear your questions, experiences, and success stories in the comments. What proprietary narratives are you building, and how can we help sharpen them further?